Wars, natural disasters, or failed economic projects have caused people to lose their lives, their homes, and many belongings, forget their dreams, and look elsewhere to start a new life. In today's video, we are talking about islands and cities that have been abandoned due to various reasons. Because of this, those cities have become ghost cities. Don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon before going to the video. The city of Hachima has been abandoned forever. It is a small island in Japan that was inhabited by coal miners and their families between 1887 and 1974. In 1890, Mitsubishi bought the island and settled there to exploit it. In fact, it was bought for almost 100 years. Oil and coal were extracted until 1974, when it was shut down due to dwindling resources. In 1959, the island had one of the highest recorded population densities in the world, over 1 square kilometer. Its buildings have been exposed to the onslaught of climate and sea salinity since abandonment, and have deteriorated rapidly since 2009. A small part of the island has been opened to the public, for tourists, and the whole town has been turned into a museum. Taiwan has such beautiful places. This ghost town was built very close to the coast in the 70s, and its design was a truly revolutionary resort, and the U.S. military focused on it due to the U.S. conflict with Taiwan. Of course, this city used to be for the upper class of Taipei. However, during the construction of the hotel complex before it could begin, everything was swept away by a hurricane, and the developer could not afford the loss. They could not care. Due to the high cost of restoration, they declared bankruptcy, and they thus abandoned Sansi to its fate. Neither soldiers nor rich people came to enjoy this project. At the beginning of the 80s, this place was abandoned. Curious people visited these abandoned places to satisfy their trivia. Chernobyl was a town of 50,000 inhabitants founded 15 years ago to house workers and their families at the nuclear power plant. The city was a nice place to live, but what we all know happened next was the April 26, 1986, explosion of reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, 500 times more radioactive than the Hiroshima nuclear bomb. Within hours, the city recorded radiation levels 600,000 times higher than Pripyat's natural value, but it took 36 hours to evacuate residents. The residents told them not to take anything, as they would return in 3 days, but they did not return. All domestic and wild animals in the city were isolated to ensure that radiation did not spread through their fur. 20 men refused to leave. All died weeks later and were found 34 years later. Piper is a ghost town, a mining settlement in Norway. Founded by the Swedes at the turn of the 20th century, but sold to the Soviet Union in 1927, the town has since become a coal mining region. Industrial activity ceased in 1998. Since the end of its infrastructure and its production, the control of the city collapsed. It won't be so easy to fix, so what happened was the drop in coal prices. It has ceased to be profitable during the golden years of mineral extraction, and more than 1,000 people have lived there. Little by little, the neighbors left, but the ghost town was closed and a few ruined houses remain today. Owned by the Russian government, only 5 or 6 people live here, who are dedicated to maintaining the site by acting as guides. A ghost mining town in the middle of the Namibian desert, founded by the Germans in 1908 and inhabited by German miners. During World War I, this mine was started to extract diamonds, and more than 1,000 kilos of diamonds were recovered. So the town grew quickly. It had a school, a hospital, casinos and European-style mansions. It was the first city in all of Africa to have an X-ray machine, but it had no medical purposes. Its job was to examine diamonds. It was abandoned in the 1920s when the miners got the diamonds and ended all mining. In recent years it has been covered by desert sands. Located in the middle of the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, Humberstone is a rehabilitated, ghost town named after James Humberstone, a British chemical engineer who emigrated to South America in 1875. Saltpeter, a very common material rich in nitrates, was used to produce fertilizers in more prosperous times. The city had 3,500 inhabitants who worked in this environment, one of the driest deserts in the world. With the start of World War I, the British blocked the export of saltpeter to Germany, which encouraged German scientists to develop artificial fertilizers. These fertilizers were more effective, and nobody wanted Chile nitrate, so the industry collapsed. Barocha is one of the world's most popular tourist destinations, a ghost town where no one has lived or worked in the town for half a century since the early 1970s. But in 1974, Turkey invaded Cyprus when Turkish and Greek forces were fighting, and Turkish and Greek forces invaded the area around Barocha. Fearing a massacre, people left their homes, jobs, and daily lives, leaving behind a city that no one has ever re-entered. Barocha has been under the control of the Turkish army since 1974. No one except military personnel is allowed to enter. Several attempts have been made to negotiate an agreement to open Barocha, but have never been successful. Hordos Kambok, located in China, may be the world's largest ghost town. The empty streets and thousands of residential buildings they have left behind make it an extraordinary place. It is built as a modern city using avant-garde architecture. A city with large stadiums and beautiful public spaces. This city achieved all this in less than 10 years. But it failed to attract people. There could be 1 million people, but only 70,000 people from the city. Eventually those people started to leave the city, and construction stopped, bankrupting the project. Today it is mostly a ghost town, with buildings completely empty. If you have already heard of these ghost towns, I am very interested to know. Apart from this, if you know any special information about this, tell us. Finally, thank you for joining us. If the video is good, then press the subscribe button and press the bell icon to watch such videos daily. And don't forget to share this information with your friends. Have a nice day and see you in a video like this.